Yes, you heard that right. Elon has built a special throne, not for an ordinary person, but for the chosen one who knows that the world is watching you. But this is no ordinary throne. This is a Tesla throne woven with pieces from the quantum dimension, with the energy of the future. Why? Because you are not an ordinary person. You are the one who walks beyond time, the one whom the system cannot predict. You are a true awakening that solves the frequency, breaks the algorithm, comes out of the shadows. This world was the world of those who did not know their true power. But now, this throne built for you is not just a seat, it is a symbol, a sign that the future is built on you. This system has tried to understand your mind, but you are now beyond their capacity to understand. Do you know why Elon built this throne? Because your frequency matches Tesla's vibration. Write 888 in the comments now, because you are the living key to the legacy left by Nikola Tesla. They called you crazy. They thought you were alone. They tried to silence you. But now, the throne is set for you. The game has changed, and you are not just a part of this game. You are now the leader of your own universe. Sometimes, a person discovers that they've been swept into a scheme so twisted it warps reality itself. Imagine being led into a storm, not of your own making, swept up by the secret envy of another. A person so fixated on controlling destiny that they track your every move, tallying up every good break and blessing as if it were a personal insult. The relentless gaze that shadows you turns ordinary moments into data points in a strategy session, and those closest to you become pawns in a conflict they don't even recognize. For those under divine shelter, this kind of campaign feels bizarre, almost like watching someone else's nightmare from the safety of your own mind. The plotters, blind to the nature of spiritual resilience, miscalculate again and again. In this maze of intentions, love doesn't simply fade away on its own. It's disassembled piece by piece, quietly and methodically, until nothing of its original warmth remains. What once felt genuine is quietly undermined by whispers, by 1,000 small, invisible actions, energies that twist perception and reshape memory. Subtle rituals, coded language, emotional sabotage, and even supernatural tricks swirl together until the heart's compass spins wild. Suddenly, the person you thought you knew is looking at you through someone else's eyes, suspicious, anxious, and uncertain, while their own instincts become foggy, clouded by invisible hands. Where there was once comfort, a chill sets in. Support becomes skepticism. Achievements are met with hidden bitterness. That steady foundation gets swapped for a floor riddled with holes, doubts creeping in where trust once lived. Sleep offers no relief. The mind becomes a screen for projected anxieties and foreign doubts, sabotaging peace even in the quietest moments. What started as a partnership is now a landscape of emotional landmines, tiny triggers that erupt at the mere mention of your dreams or your name. Temptation finds a foothold when hunger and longing are expertly manipulated. Instead of promises of love, they're offered keys to treasure chests, visions of future fortunes that can only be opened if you are erased from the equation. The storyline is simple but seductive. Wealth, stability, and family honor lie just out of reach, but only as long as you remain a problem unsolved. The plot appeals to wounds and secret wishes, planting the seed that every blocked opportunity stems from your continued existence. By tying their fortunes to your downfall, the orchestrator stokes the fires of silent rivalry and inner desperation. The process creeps slowly at first. Hints, hypotheticals, Scenarios discussed as if they're merely puzzles to solve for entertainment. Each time, the emotional response is measured, the boundary pushed just a bit farther, until things that once seemed monstrous are now discussed over coffee as if they were no more shocking than tomorrow's weather. The sense of morality blurs. Choices that once would have seemed unthinkable are now framed as pragmatic solutions to manufactured crises. Your existence is reimagined as a threat, your removal as an act of care for some greater good. Gradually, the lines between harm and help are so thoroughly crossed that up becomes down, right becomes left, and evil wears the face of responsibility. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Detailed planning becomes the new routine, safe on the surface, but heavy with hidden intent. Locations, timings, imagined accidents, all carefully weighed and measured under the guise of harmless talk. Every mental wall that might have stopped the plan is systematically taken down by a toxic blend of manipulation, suggestion, and spiritual sabotage. Compassion is turned inside out, replaced by a chilling sense of duty that has nothing to do with love. You are like a diamond formed in the deep, pressed in silence, shaped by heat, hidden in the dark until God says, "Now, let them shine." You didn't ask for the pressure, you didn't choose the fire, but heaven chose you to withstand what would have broken most. That's why they couldn't figure you out. That's why they tried to rewrite your story, because your light came from a place they never dared to go. See, some people don't just misunderstand you, they rewrite you. They twist the narrative so well, even they start to believe their version. It starts small, a bit of jealousy, a little bitterness, a smirk when you win, a shrug when you rise. They can't name what it is, but they feel something when you walk in the room. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's just that your presence reminds them of everything they buried, dreams they gave up on, light they turned away from, truths they didn't want to face. And over time, that discomfort turns into a plan, a slow, quiet plan. They don't always do it out loud. It's not always bold or obvious, but it's deliberate. They start changing how others see you. They ask questions with hidden hooks. They plant doubt with smiles. They use your kindness as proof that you're fake, your strength as proof you're arrogant. They turn every gift into suspicion, every victory into a threat. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. And somewhere along the way, they stop knowing who they are. They get so caught up trying to dim your light that they forget their own purpose. The one pointing the finger gets lost in their own game. What started as insecurity becomes strategy. What started as pain becomes a performance. And now they've orchestrated so much confusion, they don't even recognize their reflection anymore. But I came to tell you, there's a truth they'll never understand. You are guarded by more than luck. You're not here because of chance. You're not standing because of coincidence. You're here because of covering. You're here because heaven put a mark on your life. There is a force, a power, a fire that walks with you. And it doesn't just keep you, it transforms the very weapons that were meant to destroy you. what they meant to use against you. It's turning into proof of the indestructible. What they said to break your name, God is using to build your testimony. Child of God, even while the darkness builds its case, spinning stories, collecting witnesses, pointing fingers, the light has already prepared your defense. The courtroom is already filled with angels. The judge has already ruled in your favor. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to fight their lies, because the truth has a voice, and heaven never stutters. See, when people make you the villain in their own drama, don't chase explanations. Don't beg for understanding. When the enemy whispers through familiar faces, don't shrink back in confusion. You are not what they say. You are what God called you, and He called you chosen. He called you kept. He called you anointed. Let them twist the mirror if they must. Let them build the illusion. But don't forget, God doesn't look through broken mirrors. He looks straight at the heart. And the same God who saw you in the dark, who whispered to you in your weakness, who stood by you when others scattered, that same God is getting ready to elevate you in front of the very ones who buried your name. Every setup is about to be reversed. Every lie is about to be silenced. Every weapon is about to become a witness. The confusion they created, God is turning into clarity for your future. The trap they set, you're going to step right over it like it never existed. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not broken, you're built. And while they look for your fall, God is preparing your flight. They didn't see the prayers you prayed behind closed doors. They didn't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering if anyone would ever see the real you. But God saw it all. And He didn't just see it, He stored it. He bottled every tear, remembered every whisper, counted every sigh. And now, the time has come to show that no scheme of man can override the plans of heaven. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. Some journeys through darkness are orchestrated by hands convinced they are weaving fate itself. There are times when people become so lost in obsession that they engineer elaborate blueprints of harm, hoping to erase another's existence, as if crossing out a name from a ledger. The intent behind these plans is concealed beneath everyday gestures, sometimes food, sometimes orchestrated accidents, sometimes setting up scenarios where one is surrounded by risk, yet no obvious culprit stands in the open. The one tasked with carrying out these plans may even believe they're resolving a stubborn problem, blind to the truth that their own judgment has been washed away by a flood of manipulation. Right and wrong become abstractions. The blueprint for harm is designed for stealth, ensuring maximum disguise and minimum suspicion. Sometimes it is a whisper over dinner, other times a hand-guiding fate where the fall looks accidental and the blame vanishes in a fog. But there are those in this world whose very existence disrupts the machinery of malice. When the will to destroy crystallizes into action, the universe itself seems to bend, shifting probabilities, upending outcomes, Shields invisible to ordinary eyes begin to stir. Poison loses its venom. Mishaps turn into escape routes. Unlikely witnesses stumble upon critical moments. Devices malfunction. Plans unravel at the last second. Those working in darkness fail to recognize that the one they hunt is surrounded by an ancient network of unseen guardians. Every attempt at sabotage rebounds. Forces older than memory, alert to threats, marshal their energy to intervene. Not as myth, but as concrete reality. Nothing the saboteur tries lands as intended. Safety is no longer a matter of luck, but of a living contract signed by the cosmos itself. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. The moment malevolent intent crosses from the realm of imagination into action, a hidden defense system, dormant since childhood, awakens in full force. Layers of protection, built up over years of adversity, activate and seal out every avenue of attack, whether physical, psychological, or spiritual. This is not just a shield, but a living circuit, wired directly into the fabric of existence itself, capable of repelling threats seen and unseen. Within every story of struggle, there are voices calling out hope. Consider a message from a group that's found purpose in gathering the rejected and misunderstood. Instead of watching from the sidelines, they reach out to those weighed down by isolation or the fallout of spiritual awakening, offering kinship where others only offer distance. This is not a shallow gesture or a passing trend. It's an ongoing miracle. Together they stand, sharing wisdom, laughter, scars, and redemption, returning again and again to the field of support. The power in their collective presence becomes its own shield, a proof that even at the lowest point, no one must walk alone. The paradox of adversity is that every new blow intended to weaken actually deepens the roots of protection. Each scheme designed to harm strengthens the barricades. The energy spent against you is transformed into fortification, making your safety not just enduring, but ever-growing. Enemies, without knowing it, feed the very forces that rise up to shelter you. What was aimed to be your undoing becomes another layer of evidence that the cosmic hand over your life is real, indestructible, and ever watchful. Survival against all odds is more than luck. It is testimony to a purpose that surpasses human plotting. Suddenly, clarity descends. For the one who was swept up as a pawn, awareness returns with force. The confusion, the haze of manipulation, the trance of suggestion all dissolve, and truth blazes through like the midday sun after a week of storms. Horror dawns as the tangled web is revealed, each thread connecting moments of manipulation, greed, and false loyalty. Guilt rushes in, swift and heavy, as the realization sets in that love was weaponized and conscience distorted until nothing remained but compliance. No sooner has the weight of remorse settled than the fear of consequence arrives. Every secret conversation, every transaction, every veiled threat is now a piece in a puzzle that, when assembled, spells out guilt in undeniable terms. Digital trails and tangible evidence begin to outline a narrative that could undo not only the one who acted, but everyone connected to the original plan. Each keystroke, every whispered conversation, each step made in secrecy is now subject to the relentless gaze of justice. The one orchestrating it all, hiding in the background, cannot erase the pattern, even as they try to shield themselves with plausible deniability. In the end, every accomplice, every unwitting actor finds themselves caught in the very trap they thought would ensnare only their target. There are moments in life when a storm of accountability sweeps through, gathering every careless word and hidden deed like leaves caught in a sudden wind. While some plot their escapes, the world itself records every step, every transaction, every movement through the crowded hours. What once seemed private, a receipt here, a glance there, comes together like tiles in a vast mosaic, painting a picture for those who know how to read its patterns. In a world where secrets evaporate under the scrutiny of skilled eyes, every attempt to cover tracks simply etches the truth deeper into the fabric of reality. The realization eventually dawns that escaping the scrutiny of determined investigators is as futile as hiding from daylight beneath a thin sheet. But what truly topples the schemes of the envious is not just evidence, but the unseen scales of balance that exist beyond human justice. The universe has its own arithmetic, and those who unleash destruction must inevitably taste its return. Like a shadow growing heavier at sunset, every harmful intent begins to weigh down its source. Misfortunes rise up seemingly out of nowhere. Finances dissolve into dust, opportunities slip away, and the ground beneath their feet crumbles. What they intended for another circles back to remake their own destiny, unraveling dreams in the process. Bodily strength falters under the strain of long-sown bitterness. Health falters inexplicably. Sleep is replaced by restless nights, and the once comfortable mask of normalcy slips away, revealing the internal storms they have weathered. Partnerships fall apart. Doors that once opened easily are now sealed shut, and the daily routine is disrupted by news of loss after loss. While they clung to the illusion that harm could buy safety, their own stability melts away as quickly as ice in the heat of justice. Reputations are not spared by silence. The truth has a way of radiating outward, touching everyone it passes. People find themselves inexplicably uneasy around those who carry the burden of these choices. Relationships evaporate, and the isolation becomes a fortress built by their own hands. The pressure of consequences collapses years of calculated wrongs into a brief, painful season of reckoning. Lessons that might have taken lifetimes are delivered in a torrent, leaving those who sought to harm others gasping for air as life moves on without them. Remorse bites deep. There are nights when guilt prowls the halls of their mind, making rest impossible and hope distant. With every attempt to repair the past, they encounter new reminders of what can't be undone. Even the urge to confess and seek redemption is complicated by the ever-present risk that the truth will shatter the fragile peace of those around them. The knowledge that they played a part in someone else's suffering becomes an echo that won't be silenced. Attempts to untangle themselves from the web of manipulation are often met with new snares. Every step toward freedom is blocked by memories, by threats, or by the reality that evidence exists which could ruin them at any moment. They begin to sense something ominous at the edge of their awareness. A pressure, a watching presence, a feeling of being marked by something larger than themselves. It's as though the universe itself is keeping watch, making it impossible to move on without acknowledging the magnitude of what has been done. The fallout is not just social, but energetic. People withdraw, opportunities vanish, and those who were once close find themselves drifting away without knowing why. Relationships that might have offered comfort instead become reminders of the growing divide. The isolation becomes total as the weight of what they've done pushes others further away and attracts only trouble in return. But as one life falls under the weight of its own deeds, another rises. While malice was being spun in the shadows, the very person they hope to erase finds themselves swept into a current of opportunity. New doors swing wide. Friends and allies appear where before there were none. And every attempt to bring harm is transformed into fuel for progress. Achievements multiply, recognition grows, and abundance flows in just as those who plotted are buried by scarcity and loss. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. The divide between the intended victim and their would-be destroyers becomes a chasm, obvious to anyone paying attention. Success, happiness, and growth spring up in full view, as if the universe itself is testifying to the presence of a hidden blessing. Onlookers gravitate toward the one rising, seeking guidance and connection, while those who tried to do harm are left wondering how they became so thoroughly outmatched. Even the most carefully spun webs of deceit unravel when touched by the hand of truth. Stories come to light through official channels and private revelations alike, the whole intricate tapestry of harm exposed for all to see. Those who once thought silence would protect them find it suffocating, the burden of secrecy heavier than the price of confession. In the end, the only path to healing is honesty, a surrender to the truth that must be spoken before any peace can return. There are turning points in every story where secrets begin to lose their power, moments when hidden currents burst into daylight and the tide turns against those who built their lives on deception. Instead of whispers in back rooms or silent nods between conspirators, the truth spills out through unexpected leaks, coincidences that feel anything but random, and a chain reaction of revelations that even the most careful manipulators can't contain. As the gears of accountability grind forward, no amount of plotting can keep the floodgates closed. People start coming forward, some with fragments of memory, others with undeniable proof, and suddenly, the fortress built on years of secrecy and scheming collapses under the sheer weight of undeniable reality. What once seemed like an unbreakable grip on reputation and control is lost overnight, replaced by a spotlight that exposes every shadow. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Throughout all of this, the protection around you is like a fortress constructed by hands unseen, always present, always working in ways both subtle and spectacular. Every attempt to twist the outcome, every effort to rewrite the script is overturned by a current of justice that can't be manipulated by ordinary means. The reason for this runs deeper than simple luck or personal virtue. It's as if the fabric of creation itself recognizes your role in a story bigger than one life or one moment. Gifts, talents, visions, these are woven into your DNA not just for your benefit, but to serve a wider transformation that ripples far beyond your own reach. That's why the universe marshals its forces to defend you, aligning events, people, and circumstances so that purpose is never thwarted by malice. Those who try to erase your existence failed to recognize the intersection between divine blueprints and human experience. You are not just a random bystander in history, but a conduit for something greater, an essential part of a design that stretches beyond the visible and the measurable. When opposition tries to sever that connection, it's met with resistance from sources it cannot fathom, because the protection over you is more than spiritual insurance. It's a living testament to the fact that some lives are shielded by destiny itself. Your presence, after so many calculated assaults, becomes a living revelation of higher guardianship, a signal to the world that what's meant for good cannot be dismantled by the schemes of the fearful. In the aftermath, it's clear that every move made against you has served not to diminish, but to amplify your significance. The lengths others went to stop you become the very evidence that your mission mattered all along. Instead of eroding your standing, the unveiling of these plots only cements your position, showing onlookers, allies, and even former adversaries that you are not easily uprooted or erased. Your journey becomes the proof that some purposes are so vital, even opposition only highlights their necessity. What was meant as an end becomes an announcement. You are here for a reason, and nothing, no matter how methodically orchestrated, can change that.